Streaming. And I want to welcome everyone to Talkabout TV. I'm your host, Michelle Oliver. Talkabout TV is a place where we talk about all things outdoor experiential hospitality. And today I'm really excited for the energy these guys are going to bring because I have Connor Schwab, who seems to come on every time I ask him. So thank you, Connor, with Sage Outdoor Advisory. Just really brilliant everything that you guys are doing over there. I appreciate your time today. And Alan Mondis, did I pronounce your name correctly? Of Sandy Vans. And Sandy Vans, anybody that's watching today, this is going to be really fun, a real treat, because we're talking about luxury. And I think the majority of these are Class B. Is that right? Like camper vans. Think of the new version of what a camper van, what you wished a camper van could be. And you guys are so creative and so fun and so high, just premier product on the inside of these vans. So I'm excited to talk to you. Do you guys want to just introduce yourselves really quickly and tell us a little bit about, like Alan, I'd love to hear what your position is there, how you kind of got started, and the same from you, Connor. I think a lot of people know you already, but you could share a little bit, please. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Al. You want to lead us off?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having us, Michelle. Appreciate this opportunity. It's always good to hop on with Connor as well. I don't get to see as much of him as I used to now that we're in different states. But yeah, my name's Alan Bondis, and we're out of and I'm with Sandy Vans, one of the co-founders and business leaders here at Sandy Vans out of San Diego. And we specialize in a luxury adventure van build out. So we take brand new Mercedes Sprinters, from the dealerships, and then we bring them down to our manufacturing facility, which I'm actually sitting out of today. So you might hear some background noise. It's always busy in the shop. And then we turn the van into a fully livable, sustainable camper van to go off grid. So you're talking about a 4x4 all-wheel drive vehicle that now has home on wheels built within the van. We cut the windows in the side. We do the vent fans or AC units with solar panels and the whole suite of exterior components that we actually sell to the industry as well. So not only do we do the full, live-in interior build out, but we have, one of the other co-founders is an engineer by trade and has designed a whole suite of exterior components that the DIY space, the other individuals trying to get into this space, can also buy our products and bolt onto their rigs. Things like roof racks or side steps, rear racks with a big locker storage, boxes and things like that. So that's a little bit about, Sandy Vans and where we're at.
Thank you so much. And I will share, obviously, in the description, the link to the website. You guys go check it out. Like, it's so fun just to look at what you've done. Really, really creative and exquisite. Like, you're just taking everything to a completely new level. How did you wind up in this space? Where did you come from? Just appeared out of nowhere with these, these amazing creative solutions. So how did you wind up doing this?
Yeah, it's a great question. So personally, I have a background actually in the medical device space. So that's where Connor and I met actually, 10 years ago in a sales role. And since then I've kind of, bounced around, but been in Southern California and worked with different manufacturing facilities in Southern California, as well as across the border in Mexico. And I left my most recent job and was, questioning what was next. And I actually got into a Sprinter of my own, and this is in 2020, and went on a road trip up to the Pacific Northwest. Met with another friend who had done a recent build out on his van, his personal van, and we're avid kiteboarders, and we had spent some time in Hood River and all around Oregon doing some kiteboarding and seeing the growth just exponentially of van life, and what the opportunity I think was to get out and into nature and to more unique locations, not just RV resorts or campgrounds, more like off the beaten path and off grid locations where you can do exciting new sports. And the one we were chasing at the time was wind for kiteboarding. and just, seeing the growth of that, I guess interest level for people wanting to go out and do that. And then I think the opportunity with COVID for people to really get out more, it was kind of like putting gas on a fire that was already burning, right? People are looking to downsize from their RVs to get to more accessible locations, and the vans, are a great way to do that. And so at that point, Evan and I looked at saying, well, how can we get involved? And put a team together and reached out to our network. Connor being one of those individuals, and saying, hey, how can we take advantage and get involved and provide a product that might serve this industry well? And we came up with Sandy Vans.
Excellent. So the universe called you through your passion. It's incredible to me. I live in Colorado, and I was up in Steamboat, I don't know, early spring, and we were hiking, and it was still kind of mud season, so it was a little bit limited hiking, but the places those vans can go, it doesn't seem like they could actually really go off-road, but they were on trails that like the mountain bikes go on. So it's really exciting because you're actually doing what you really want to do. You're not like parking and then having to park a huge rig. Like, you can get in pretty close. I was astonished at the roads that these things can actually go on.
Yeah, there's definitely pushing it to this industry is pushing that, like it's kind of combining the off-road, I guess that overlanding space, which has been around with 4x4 trucks and Toyotas and overland type of vehicles for many years, but now kind of combining that with something that's more sustainable for long-term living or just more comforts, I guess, in the adventure. So it's an interesting space that's continued to grow, and I'm excited about what else we can bring to it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about what you're doing. You're going to do really, really well. Connor, I'd love to hear a little bit from you about just kind of the state of the nation around these Class Bs. I know that I've developed a habit of just like taking pictures of them everywhere I go. So from Fort Collins to Boulder, it used to be like, how many VWs do you see? Now it's like, how many Class Bs do you see in an hour and a half drive? And a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and they're beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Class B spans, right? But I don't know how your eyes kind of drawn to the beautiful ones.
Yeah, happy to chime in. And I guess to provide a little context, I'm Connor Schwab. I'm the head of Sage Outdoor Advisory, and we focus on offering feasibility studies and appraisals to outdoor hospitality owners. So essentially, we work with campgrounds, RV resorts, and glamping resorts, and we help them look at their financial projections and go get traditional bank lending, private investments, and help them with their plan. So people who are launching, buying, expanding, or selling. So that's a little bit about what we do, and we've done over 200 projects across the U.S. in the past 3 years. So we're totally focused on this space, and I think I've been super interested in the Class B space for a couple of reasons. One, because I got pulled into the mayhem and the craze by Alan, and having gotten a chance to travel around in these Sprinter vans, and we've gone on a lot of road trips chasing wind and waves down to Mexico and up the California coast, and it just provides such an incredible lifestyle. And I think the reasons why the Class B market is growing, I think 10, 20 years ago it was all about big rigs, how much AC and television and toys could you carry, and how many bedrooms did you have in your big Class A motor coach? And I think that's starting to change a little bit for a number of reasons. And I think what the Class B market does is it opens up an entirely new customer segment. And that's because it's very difficult to store and maintain these large 30, 35 foot Class A motorhomes. They're difficult to drive, they're gas guzzlers, and sometimes it's just more space than you need. And some of them are a bit antiquated in maybe their style, like their interior and exterior design. And maybe it feels like something like grandma and grandpa might be driving around. And then of course, they're not very maneuverable. So you're highly limited in the roads that you can take on in those larger rigs. And so you're pretty confined. And I think Class B really speaks to a segment that's really looking for adventure. I think adventure is maybe a bit more of a priority than comfort, or having every kind of creature comfort that maybe your house provides, but you want to get to some of those harder to reach places. And that's what a lot of vehicles, not all, but many of the vehicles in the Class B space are 4x4 and can go off-road, and they have off-road tires. And so that's one of the major advantages, is that you can get into some of these harder to reach places and actually have an experience in nature, not necessarily be parked at a dense RV resort where, you can hear your neighbor sneeze or snoring. So, yeah.
Yeah, it really is a very different demographic. I mean, the big rigs, it's almost like you're taking, I mean this with respect, okay? Because I have a lot of friends that own these and this is their lifestyle, but it's very different experience, right? It's almost like you're taking your neighborhood with you. They go in caravans. You're taking a very specific experience with you. And that's a completely different orientation to the world. Then it's almost like we're going to minimize things and we're going to maximize experience and adventure. So how do we get to those places and still have a luxurious experience and just customize it for what we want? So when you're doing these, well, I don't know, you guys just tell me more about how you're working together. Are you doing projects together, or how do you interlace what you're doing together?
We through introductions and collaborations and kind of sharing knowledge, but sometimes the actual overlap is a bit minimal, because I'm working more with the property owners and Alan's working with, and Sandy Vans is working with the end customers.
Yeah.
What might be a really interesting starting point to hear from Alan, because he speaks with all the customers who are interested in purchasing a Sandy Vans. And Alan, what's driving people to getting these, Sprinter vans? What are they looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a lot of our customers, it's a blend. I mean, the product that we build is geared a little bit more towards weekenders, long trips, and adventure. Once again, adventure rigs. So you're able to bring, as you said, Michelle, like the customizable features of what your adventure entails, whether it be, having racks on the back for your mountain bikes or e-bikes, or it's the box that you can now put, surfboards up top and hang your wetsuits or kiteboard equipment. So you're kind of gearing your rig up for the adventures that you are looking to do on that trip, and then heading still back home. So mainly it's that type of customer that's outdoorsy and has some sort of niche or some sort of sport that they want to connect and then be able to have their remote lifestyle. So we've seen a lot of that blend too. We have a customer that is always parked at San Onofre State Beach on the coast with his Starlink up, and he's doing work and then going on surf sessions and then back to work. And it's incredible, because that's a very frequented beach. How many people see him there and want to talk about his van and then come to us, which is fantastic. Wow. It's great to have those advocates and amazing customers out on the road talking about their rig. And it is one of those things that every time you see one of these vans out there, there's a lot of interest about what are you using it for, what's inside, how do you hook your gear up to it, and what adventure are you doing with that van. So I think this new push with opportunity for working remote as a long-term option, as well as Starlink now working anywhere for internet, on the road, has created this kind of next generation of hybrid working while work where you adventure type of opportunity, which is kind of I think more of our build category. There are a few of our customers that are full-timers as well. They want to be in the rig and just off the grid and living completely in that rig as well, which we are seeing. In the Class B space, there's there's a number of those individuals, but I'd say it's a smaller percentage than the weekenders that are buying these rigs, from what we've seen.
It's really interesting. You know, it's almost by default, they create kind of a unique community. So I did see on your website, you have a community tab, and I'm curious if they engage, like, how are they engaging as a community? What do you have set up for these people to connect to each other? Because that just in and of itself would be really interesting, wouldn't it? Just out of curiosity, like, what do you do in your van? You know, it's adventurous
Right.
kinds of people. So
Absolutely. And we've had a number of, customers that have gotten in touch with other customers of ours and then end up taking, their Sandy vans on trips together to
great.
Mammoth or snowboarding or things like that. So it's definitely a great community, just the van life community as a whole. Everyone's out to lend a helping hand when you're out in these, remote places and maybe stuck or maybe, need some sort of, gear lending or things like that. So it is community oriented, and it's definitely something we want to engage in and are trying to, be advocates for within the Sandy Vans community as we continue to get more of our rigs out on the road. So yeah, throwing events is something that we're starting to do more and more of. There's an event in Southern California that we've created once a year, and we're doing more and more of these. Like, we've done some beach cleanups. There's a local place here in San Diego called Fiesta Island, which is great for like meetups, van meetups and bonfires, and just for people to kind of engage with other customers as other van lifers. And exactly that, we have many customers like, oh, I'd love to know how everyone else is using their van or what trips they're going on. So creating more of that open forum and platform is a goal for us as we continue to scale.
Oh, I'm so glad you're doing that. So it's really important and really exciting. Connor, what do you see in terms of this kind of community aspect? And I'm thinking now across, I'm thinking of people I want to connect you with, Alan, so that you could expand. I think you should be here in Colorado. But there really is a tremendous opportunity here too. So what do you see with the community and people gathering in like just general Class B resorts or anything that's happening across the country?
Yeah, there's quite a range, and I think there's two ends of the spectrum when it comes to Class Bs, and there's like the off-grid, no cell service, no plan. They want to get as remote as possible, and maybe they've got friends going with them, and they're kind of like the hardcore overlander, and they might be out there for several days or several weeks, without Wi-Fi service or a resupply. And then you kind of have on the other end, I guess you're looking at the RV spectrum, and then on the other hand, you have grandma and grandpa in the class A RV who spend all their time at a traditional RV resort, and maybe they don't really drive that RV around. Maybe they've got a car that they use to go visit national parks or friends or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think what we're seeing in the industry as a whole, or what's really interesting, particularly for RV resort owners or property owners or people who are looking to cater to this space, is that you have millions of acres of BLM land where, Class B owners can go and recreate. And there's tens of thousands of traditional RV resorts, high density parks, some centralized amenities, typically full hookups. But, you're usually having anywhere from 6 to 10 sites per acre in this high density experience. But there's almost nothing in the middle. And that's kind of what I've been preaching, or like trying to encourage my clients to explore, because it pretty much doesn't exist in the market right now, where there's something in the middle where maybe you have a larger property with higher acreage and you only have 1, 2, maybe 4 sites per acre, and you have wilderness and trees and some topography and some separation between these sites. So you really feel like you're getting a wilderness experience. Because the thing is, and I'd be curious to to hear Alan's thoughts on this, but most people in their Sprinter vans, they're sufficient, without any sort of like resupply. They're built with solar systems, with battery banks, water tanks, refrigerators, kitchens. And so they can go and be on the road without any sort of resupply for anywhere from 2 days to, 2 weeks. And so when you think about a traditional RV resort, every site has hookups at the site, but Class Bs don't really need that, at least for several days. They can go several days without it. And so having hookups at the site isn't super important to this customer because they're largely self-sufficient. So what I'm trying to encourage people is maybe starting to think about a new age RV resort where you have centralized hookups where people can fill up their water. They can plug in and charge up their battery bank if they need it, or maybe there's a general store, or maybe there's some Wi-Fi in a centralized area. But the sites where people are staying, it's more of a wilderness private site. So that's kind of what I'm encouraging people to think about. Al, I'd be curious your thoughts on that, or just how people are using their rigs, or like what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great idea, and it's something that we've kicked around, just inside the shop and with customers here, is something like outposts, right? I think it's exactly what you're describing. It's like something where there's a centralized meetup where everyone can kind of, come together as a communal area and meet other van lifers in that space during that time. And maybe there's even like, a grill or somewhere to have like a meal, kind of shared space and picnic benches and whatnot. Cool to have, somewhere to do laundry, right? And then, like you say, maybe some power and water to fill up the rig, and then everywhere else could be quite remote on someone's land. So that is, I think, very appealing to the customer base we're working with. Well, most of our customers are using the app, iOverlander. They're going to places that are more BLM type of lands, off grid, like you mentioned. So you're trying to get away from other people. You're trying to get more remote. You're trying to get more into the wilderness, like you mentioned. So that is definitely the customer base that we're seeing and we're, interacting with on a day-to-day basis. And our rigs are built exactly for that. So I think you're onto the right track. I wonder how's that being received from, your client base. That's the interesting part.
Well, we're working on 2 projects right now, one in Arizona and one in Northern California, trying to kind of cater to that group. So it's coming slowly. And I think one more important distinction is, or one section of the customer base, I think there's people that are interested. You see van life and you see these really captivating photos of this van in nature with views around a campfire in trees. And like, that's kind of the dream that you get sold on. And then I think people, they'll buy a van because they want that. But there is some sort of element of almost like an education gap, or even there's some part about doing that in van life that can be difficult. And probably the most difficult one is that it's difficult to plan, especially if you're going with a group and you need to, like, let's say Alan and I wanted to go take separate vans and go stay on some BLM land outside of San Diego. And I'm going on Thursday and he's coming on Friday. And we say, hey, we're going to meet at this pin or this spot on BLM land. But then I arrive on Thursday and someone's beat me to that spot already and it's taken. And then I go to the second spot and that's taken too. And I don't end up at the third one, but I don't have service. So I can't call Alan and be like, hey, I ended up at spot B or spot C. And I can't communicate to him to come join us there. And I think the elements of planning or going with groups is something that's hard to do on BLM land, that having a reservable site, allowing people to plan in advance or groups to plan in advance is just a totally underserved area of the market.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know that we are also working on some projects, and I know there's a shared interest that we're focused on, but I love this idea of these outposts. To me, it's almost like when I was a kid and we hiked all the time, and there were just, it was kind of like we built our own etiquette, right? Like, well, you guys know, like if you're out there hiking alone, these are the signs that you leave, right? But you would check in places, and then you would have these, they were like the ranger stations. And sometimes we would meet people there, but they were only the people that were as crazy as we were, that were like, we didn't even really know we were going to do this, but we've been out here for like 2 days. And so I think there's a really interesting, I'm not sure how best to address it, but it's an interesting mentality, because you really are the adventurer. You want to be alone. You want to go out and be totally disconnected from all the screens and your phone and everything. But at the same time, how do you do that? And do you really want to do it alone? And what does community mean? Like, it opens up all these new interesting questions, because it doesn't necessarily mean what it meant to the, the big rigs, because they're literally caravanning and then doing their thing and then caravanning and doing the same thing again, right? So it's kind of this ebb and flow. It's really interesting. I like this idea, like there's an outpost here where you get what you really need, just the essentials, in case you don't have it, and then you go again. So I don't know, very, very interesting.
Yeah. And it might be interesting to hear from Alan, like so your audience maybe has a general understanding of some of the nitty gritty of the industry, like what comes standard in a Sandy Vans, like what are Sandy Vans builds like, and then maybe what's kind of general in the industry. What does it cost for someone to get into one of these rigs? So people who are more used to traditional RVs, so they can kind of compare those.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I think it's amazing how much variance you're going to see in this space, right? I've met many van lifers that, bought an incredibly, cheap rig, the van that they were able to outfit themselves and do it on a budget, and had the wherewithal and kind of, the know-how to just figure it out, and made something that works for them, at a baseline cost. So the barrier to entry isn't high when you're talking about getting a van and doing the build. However, then talking to many DIYers that have done it, they're all going to say the same thing. Wow, that was a lot bigger task than I thought it was going to be. So
no one ever finishes their van on time. I've never met anyone who finished their van when they were planning, if they finished it at all. So I can attest to that.
Yeah, there's many customers. We get the calls every week that have gotten into the project and said, not for me. I need help, and so it's a cautionary direction to go, but it's obviously possible, and many have done it. And the YouTube generation helps, right? You can find every answer on YouTube. Doesn't mean it's the right way, but it's one way to get it done. And then if you're looking to go in and buy a turnkey rig, there are many options out there right now. So you can go traditional to one of the Class B. There's dealerships now that are focused on it. They've gotten wind, the Winnebagos of the world, and have built some products for this space. So what I think Thor and Winnebago and the big manufacturers have done is taken a mindset from the RV space that they're accustomed to, and built these businesses on, and then tried to cram it into a Class B, overlanding vehicle in a van. So you'll notice that when you go walk through some of those rigs. So they have it all, but it may not be the best in that type of space. So I would, implore anyone that is interested in van life to go check out some of these, go to an RV dealership, to walk through them. And then you can hop online and take a little bit deeper look of some of the custom rigs that are out there. And then obviously our doors are always open to any potential customers to come see our show rig here in San Diego. And our vans come standard with, solar panels up top, a roof rack. We build on the Sprinter, Mercedes Sprinter 144 chassis, as mentioned, the all-wheel drive. And then you go enter the rig, and you're going to have, a sink cabinet nestled into the slider door that is connected to a 20-gallon freshwater tank, hot water. The electrical system is going to be built on the driver's side, and that's going to be lithium battery bank that we build with on the Red Arc system, which is a pretty cool new system coming out of the overland space, and actually an Australian brand, making some more noise, I think, in the States now with their great product in the overlanding space. Now we're utilizing it in our van builds. Has a cool touchscreen monitor, and it's all Bluetooth capable. So now you can think smart van on wheels. Everything can be turned on and off with your phone. If that's of interest to you, or you have the panel that kind of controls everything, shows all of your power coming in from the sun, also from the engine. Whenever you're driving your vehicle, the alternator will be charging your battery bank. And then there is the final plug-in opportunity if you are at a location where you need to charge the batteries, an actual RV location that has plug-ins that is available on the to charge your battery bank. And then from there, it's kitchenette with an electric stove. You got your kitchenette countertop. We do a lot of we kind of blend together a high volume production with regards to CNCing all of our cabinetry, our upper cabinets, our lower cabinets, our rear dinette area. But then we have a pretty well-known builder in the space. He's actually been on this show, which is by the name of Gutted. So Gutted was on Blank Space. It's coming to Amazon Prime soon. It's basically, the concept is building a van in 5 days with a team of strangers that are also in the build and overlanding van space from around the country. And then they pit, 3 teams against each other and try and build 3 different rigs in 5 days and judge whose is the best, which is pretty cool. That our lead builder, Steven Stolp, was one of the captains of the team for season 2, which is actually out right now. So that's pretty great. So basically, he has a lot of experience in the custom van building space, 5+ years, has built many rigs that are one-off, specific to a client that wants specific things. He's done things like overlanded ambos, school buses, box trucks, different types of vans. So he's kind of been across this broad range of knowledge of all the different types of things you could build, houses within. And now between, as I mentioned before, Evan, the engineer, and Stolp, the artist, we'll call him, combining those two, knowledge banks, it's been great to kind of come up with a repeatable product that still has the flair and the custom element and finishes that give these vans the wow factor that Connor had just mentioned of, these incredible photos and these incredible places. So that's what we're trying to bring together at Sandy Vans. And where it comes luxury adventure, you still have that beautiful fit, form, and finish, but you can still get all of the different components and gear onto your rig to get to those unique locations. That's a pretty good overview. What did I miss, Connor?
We name all of our vans after action heroes.
Yeah, that's kind of a big thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Talk about that.
So kind of like Alan was saying, I think in terms of quality and costs, a lot of our head engineer, Evan Purcell, and Alan's manufacturing relationships allows us to manufacture super high quality build materials with very specific tolerancing. So you get a very perfect repeatable finish for the bones of the build. And then you get this fun finish that's customizable from the client. And Steven Stolp, who's just kind of a wild, mad scientist artist who adds these really beautiful, unique, artistic custom elements to the end of every finish. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. And I think we name all of ours after action heroes because, we want our vans to be, badass and be able to do cool things, but also each van is unique, right? This isn't Winnebago. They're not rolling off an assembly line and they're all the exact same. Like no one's going to have a van like yours. And so each name is unique. And maybe Al, you could share a couple of your favorites.
Do you guys, I was just going to pull up the site. Do you want to share your screen and show your favorites? I mean, I think it's worth.
I think where the best photos are better than me.
Yeah, because I can scroll through it, but that's not like you doing it. I think we should show them. There's nothing like a picture. It's a pretty
Yeah.
big commitment. And I'm thinking about, it's so great that you can come in wherever you are. I really love that because I know a lot of young people who have done that thing where it's like buy the van and then you get through it. And it's like, wow, I would like to have added this, or it's kind of a bigger job than I thought. So, but you can start there. Like there's nothing wrong with that, And that's how you learn that maybe there are other options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Open this one.
Sure. I can pull up my screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mine's not working. So
Oh, it's
great.
not.
All right. Here, Al, you're going to need to tell. Well,
Yeah.
let's
So
see.
even on the
So,
homepage
okay,
there.
so what should I go into, Al?
I think you got to go to Hugh Jack Van. That's a fan favorite lately. So yeah, that
Oh,
one
great.
is pretty cool. We actually came up with a unique lighting feature to kind of match it, going off the Wolverine inspired, you know, three
Wow.
claws. So it actually starts with three and then goes down to one. But yeah, it was a fun one to kind of get more unique with, as well as sorry, hold on one second, guys.
Yeah. So, the reason we came up with Hugh Jack Fan, or how that plays in, is you can see the three kind of blade marks, like his claws on the ceiling. So that was one of the artistic touches that we wanted to go with.
Yeah, that's great.
Perfect. Yeah, sorry about that. Exactly, Connor. Yeah, so this slide out was also something new that we did. So as Connor mentioned, it's every van's coming off the line. It's unique. We're talking with sometimes the customer gets involved in the process as we're building it. So we call it like semi-custom. Everything's repeatable, and there is a structure that's the base of our builds, but the customer can say, hey, I would like this type of color palette. The laminates can change, the flooring, the wall panels, so we can get the cushions as well. And this customer wanted to have like an outdoor type of I guess like tailgating type of feel. So we did that slide out with the big table that can open up and have a grill within it. So there are, custom elements that can be available, but we're always building vans ahead of time as well to list them and have inventory, as well to sell to customers that are ready, right now and looking to get out and adventure. And this is one of those. So this one just finished. It's Daniel Craig. And you'll see the big, the rear rack with the e-bike on the back. So that's a new addition, and that's like a electric motorcycle actually. So it's pretty cool to be able to, once again, get even, more off the grid once you once you get to your campsite. So yeah, pretty cool stuff.
Oh my
Yeah. So
goodness.
I guess you can see from some of these photos that the interior finish of each is super unique. With the color schemes, the flooring, the custom lighting is probably what we're like very well known for. And the finish is the kick lights below, over the sink, on the ceiling. And that's something that's pretty popular.
Just absolutely over the top. So well done and stunning. So I am curious, you mentioned inventory. How does that work? Do you find yourself like it's not a problem? Or if I came to you and said, I want a custom, how long does this take? I'm sure it depends, right? On a lot of specifics.
Yes. So right now it's about 2 vans a month is the current production rate, and we should be ramping that to 3 a month by August. So we're continuing to grow the team, bring on more individuals in the facility. We're actually we've been searching for a larger facility here in San Diego to be able to expand. So it's been exciting. It's been things are moving in the right direction, in line with the industry and this opportunity in Class B. I think we're starting to set ourselves apart as a brand that can do this semi-custom build in a quick time frame for a relatively affordable cost compared to the market. And yeah, I think so things just happen. We have, our June is booked, our July is nearly booked, but if a customer gets involved and puts down a deposit, then can work with us on those semi-custom elements to get that van done, within a few week time frame of when we start the build. So
Wow.
that's which is pretty quick in industry. I know that all the custom, van builders are usually 4 to 6 to 8 months out, and we found that number even being higher, obviously over the kind of COVID time. So,
Al, can you chat a little bit about pricing and financing? I don't think we've brought that up yet, have we?
No, that's great. I wasn't sure if you wanted to go there, but I would love to go there. And so would everyone else, because they're thinking, how do I do this? Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, so we are building once again on brand new Mercedes platform sprinters, which are, ranging between the $70,000 and $80,000 price point. So it's an expensive base to start the price point, as far as just the raw material of what the van is. And then once our base build out the door ready to go starts at 144,000. So 144, that's going to be a turnkey ready to go rig. And that is financeable on a few different directions. So one, we can do a traditional RV financed loan, up to 15-year with a credit, a credit union that's local to Southern California that we've partnered with. Looks like 10% down and 15-year payment plan. And then the other one is a little bit more unique to the space, and that's a financing partner that we have personally known for many years, which is a great option for business owners. So basically, it works as it comes through as kind of like a lease to own, and what that's an opportunity for customers to have a write off on a monthly expense towards their business, with their van purchase and working from the road. So
that mobile office.
I know that was my next question, is what are the write-off opportunities? Because it just makes sense. I mean, instead of going around measuring your house, like how much, how much of my house? Yes, that's really compelling, really interesting.
Yeah, and it's been a good one.
Oh, and I was just going to say, if you're familiar with the van space, it's pretty common for custom new sprinter builds, like from fully custom shops, to be in the 200 to 250 price range. So like being in that 140, 150 price range is pretty incredible, for anyone who's familiar with like shopping around in the industry.
Yeah, industry standard, like that Winnebago Rebel product that I'd mentioned earlier, that those start at the 180 price range and go over 200 depending on the options that you select. So, for us to be providing, I think a more custom fit, form, and finish feel on the interior at a comparable product at a much lower price point. We're excited about that, and I think that's where we're getting more and more interest, right?
Well, I think you're going to pique a lot of people's interest today who see this. It's a really exciting, it's like permission to go live the way you want to live, and it's a wonderful, I don't know, it's just such an exciting time. I know that we're having a lot of challenges during this world time, but look at all the opportunity and the new ways of being that are here for us. So it's a really, really exciting business. What do you guys want to share to kind of close out here?
I think from if it's kind of zooming out and just looking at outdoor and experiential hospitality, there's a lot happening. And I really do think that the shakeup happening in the RV industry, like this rise of the Class B, is probably one of the biggest disruptions happening in any market since like Airbnb. It really changes. It changes the entire way that people are camping and experiencing the outdoors. And I think for RV resort owners or people in the space, to really be keeping an eye on this and thinking like, how has the customer needs changed, and how has the experiences that they're looking for changed, and how can that benefit your RV resort build, right? Traditionally it might cost you $30,000 to $70,000 to build out a paved RV resort RV site with full hookups. But how much does it cost for just a gravel site with only central amenities? That might drop your cost to 10 to 20,000 per site. And your customer who wants something different is getting an even better experience. So I think, that's probably what I would think is the big takeaway for me or for anyone who's in this space.
Yeah. It's really, really true. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's great. Going from a high level down, Connor's kind of talking about more, the business space and the opportunity on the land side, and then down the next level to the consumer. I would just, welcome more of these individuals who are out there interested in van life and have heard about and have a friend. Everyone's got a story, right? Everyone's got a story that's like one or two connections away of like, oh, my, brother's sister is out van lifing and they love it. It's not it's for someone. I think it's for everyone to kind of go out and experience for themselves and see how they interpret van life. And so right now there's this really cool opportunity to rent these vans, right? To try them. And there's a whole platform. There's many platforms. There's Go Camp, RV Share, and Outdoorsy being the big one to get in one of these rigs and take it for a weekend and see if it's, something that interests you. Or there's ways to kind of like van share, buy vans together. There's opportunities out there to get out more and try this space and see if it makes you feel more alive. I think that's where we built this company around, is wanting to empower more individuals to get out in nature and get closer to the things that they love doing on a daily basis. And so that's what I think what drives us to keep creating these cool products for people who aspire to get out there and feel more alive.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. And that's the tagline of Sandy Vans that Alan came up with. And I think it is the core of it, because when you're out with friends, adventuring, exploring, being in the moment, being in nature, like that's, in our opinion, when you feel most alive. And yeah.
I have to bring up the age demographic because and I'm curious what you see, because I have like a side passion thing that I do. I coach women who are in midlife and they do crazy stuff. Okay. Like they decide there's this whole thing where we're just moving to Puerto Rico, or we're done, and they just go do things. So this is really a great opportunity. They downsize. They have these crisis I really deal with lots of them, dozens of them. Okay. Sometimes hundreds. And it's always the same thing. I don't know that I even want to be home all the time. Like, I think this would be a tremendous option that demographic probably doesn't realize could be really, really fun. And they're open to trying things. They're open to trying things that seemed impossible when they were raising kids, or in that sandwich generation where the parents are ill and, all kinds of stuff. So I think that would be my message is, ladies, check it out. Like it doesn't matter how old you are, or if you're single or married or kids or no kids, like there's an adventure for everyone. And there's that perfect style of van for everyone. So you might be missing a whole women kind of focus there. That could be your next line.
Yeah. And actually sharing a personal experience. So my family, the Schwab family, so my mom, my dad, and then my three brothers, we were the first ever Sandy Vans rental customers. And we took the first Sandy Vans van diesel. And we took it on a 9-day trip. And we did the Utah National Park loop,
awesome.
Hitting the Bryce, Moab, Zion Arches, and the Grand Canyon. And it was the best trip I'd say our family's ever taken. And it was so cool because when we would go to BLM land or like some hip camps, and my parents would sleep. We had my 4Runner, and then we had Van Diesel, the Sprinter van. So my parents would sleep in the bed in the Sprinter, and then the kids, we would just sleep outside in the tent or around the campfire, like in sleeping bags. And it was like such a fun way to travel. And then having the fridge and the van and the stovetop and like the gear storage. And when we go into like Arches, which is a national park that you just want to drive around, we'd all pile into Van Diesel, and we could all sit comfortably in the back and like look out the windows at Arches National Park. And it was like just such a fun way to travel.
That is what it's all about, honestly. Really, those kind of memories. I love that. That's how I remember growing up. Like we would go to these places that now you have to have reservations and it's all sterile and organized, but we would just show up and my mom would say, tent or no tent? We'd be like, what? No tent. Like, we don't need a tent unless it was raining. And, so I think we just need to open up. I love the mission that you have here, because it really is, it's literally a vehicle, but it is a vehicle for experiential outdoor adventure. And yeah, that's going to heal the world, guys. So love what you're doing.
Yeah, we're thrilled and honored to be on the show, Michelle. We really appreciate the opportunity.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry I keep cutting out. I don't know what's going on with my internet, but I really appreciate your time, your expertise, your passion, your creativity, and more than anything, that you just got after it and made it happen. Because this is kind of really what I feel like Expitality is about. It's like you have a dream about really making something happen. We'll, funnel you in all the right directions and then facilitate that. But very few people actually get after it and make it happen. And that's what you guys have done. So I applaud you. And the whole world is better off for it, because just new ways to explore this planet. Let's go out and do it. Come back and talk to me again. And any closing words you have, I want to hear them. They want to hear them. And then we'll put all the links and stuff and hopefully drive some eyeballs to wherever you guys are. San Diego, I guess. Come to Colorado.
Absolutely. I mean, we're gonna make some Sandy Van trips out to Colorado in the next 12 months. Absolutely. So thanks so much for having us, Michelle. This has been great. It's been great to hear and see your passion too. This is my first time meeting you, so I'm excited to continue this relationship and keep you in the loop with all things Sandy Vans as we grow and continue to get more people out there. Exactly what you're saying. That's our mission, and we're glad we're aligned there. Thanks again for having us.
Thank you. We will definitely be supporting you in any way that we can. And as Connor as well, because go ahead. I know you want to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say our mission at Sage Outdoor Advisory is let's get more people outside, and then Sandy Vans is feeling alive. So let's get more people outside feeling alive. Sign off with that.
Oh, great. I love it. Let's do it. Okay. Well, God bless. Ciao for now. We'll come back and share adventures. And I'm going to be, please subscribe to this channel, you guys. Like, I really have to get it together on this right now. It's just been really fun. But anybody that's watching, please subscribe. And this will be turning into something much bigger and with better and bigger distribution. But right now, it's just these kind of candid, casual, like communication conversation.
Subscribe on YouTube, Michelle?
What?
Subscribe on YouTube?
Yeah, subscribe on YouTube, please. Go to Talkabout TV and subscribe on YouTube. And cool. What else was I going to say? I forget. I don't know. Anyway, we really want you to go visit both of these guys' websites. So we'll put all that information in, and we'll be coming back together again and again and again. God bless you, everybody. Get out and do something amazing. It's June. Wherever you are, you're supposed to be outside. So go away from the screen and go do something. Okay. Thank you, guys.